Renee works, she's like the music coach trainer to the stars. Anybody who is anybody in country music and really any kind of music has worked with Renee. All the big labels call her when they are ready to cut an album and they have a big star or an up-and-comer. That's the person they go to. She's world-renowned and works with all the big names like the Dixie Chicks, Faith Hill, Huey Lewis, and that's the person they go to. So you're so fortunate to have someone like Renee Grant Williams here to help you today, and she's got techniques that can help you get the most out of your singing voice. And it's going to be a wonderful experience, and I want you to help me welcome the singing coach to the stars, Renee Grant Williams.
You must be present at your own career. You have to pay attention. You have to learn all the time about your voice, about training, about media, about choreography, about the business of the music business, and more than anything, you have to know what you want to hear. As simplistic as that sounds, you have to know what you want to hear in your own ears in order to accomplish that. Now that one, I would think would kind of be a no-brainer, but it's not. You must be present to win. You must pay attention to the way you sound, the way your body feels when you sing. You must pay attention to others and think about what makes one singer or one speaker or one public figure stand out from the others. When I talk about technique, I like to talk in building block groups. And I like to get the breathing right. Now, most of you have figured out something out about breathing because it's kept you alive all this time. We want to do the best breathing for singing here. We want to get the breathing right. We want to get the support right. Support is the way, what? The air gets back out of your body to make a sound. So let's talk about breathing first. We're going to stand up and we're going to make sure we have this breathing down. I'd like everybody to take a breath, just like you were going to sing a song. And what we're going to say is we're going to say, "Hello, Nashville. This is my first song," and it goes like this. And then you're going to take the breath that you would take in between that sentence and the first lines of a song. And, "Hello, Nashville. This is my first song," and it goes like this. All right. Have a seat. What I saw in most of you is you looked like you breathed through your mouth. You took the air sort of around your midsection and then kind of filled up the rest. And it looked to me as if what you were doing was, between those two phrases, was pulling in the air and drawing the air into your body, right? So I would like to suggest that we make a couple of changes. What I'd like to do is breathe through the mouth. Some of you I could see breathing through the nose. I'd like to have you, we're going to breathe through the mouth, but in a way that it requires no effort to take the air into your body. It's what I call passive breathing. In fact, it's a breathing method that's big in sports training, competitive sports training right now. So we're going to do three things. We're going to pay attention to three areas. We're going to breathe through your mouth. If you could put your thumb on your navel and move your fingers down about 2 inches, like about a ping pong ball. Everybody find it? Good. Thumb in the navel, move it down. This is where I would like you to breathe. And I want to go on record as saying there's no actual lung parts down there. So you see that drop? There's a drop in the diaphragm muscle that drops down here. So we're going to put it down there through the mouth, but the important thing is I want to ask you never to fill when you take in breath. Never to fill up with air. When you fill, it's like filling up a balloon. Let's pretend that this area right here is a balloon. You fill up a balloon, and once the balloon is full, exactly. How do you keep the air inside? You have to tighten it off at the throat, otherwise it's just going to wish out. So when you fill your body beyond its resting capacity, you have to tighten your throat to keep that air inside your body under pressure. It's trying to get out. It has no other way to get out. And so you tighten your throat more and more the more air you take. Sometimes people walk into my studio and they'll say, oh yeah, and I take in this really, really, really big breath when I have a long phrase or sing something loud for a long time. I have to take in a really long breath, thereby absolutely incapacitating. When you take the air in like this, try that, everybody. Open your mouth, take air up into this part, and fill up this area. What do you feel tighten? Chest and throat. Everybody do it one more time. Let your air out and fill it in, take it in, and tighten it off. You know what it's like? It's like that other thing you can do with a balloon. You know when you fill up a balloon and then take and squeeze the little neck and it screams, ee! That's in essence what you're doing. And somehow that just doesn't seem like the best way to make a sound. So when you're filling up with air, gradually releasing your death grip on your throat, you have so much tension that it blocks off the resonance in your body. And this all works together. Your whole body is an instrument, and that's the entire way we're going to treat it, from head to toe, that this whole body is an instrument for making the sound. When you take air into your body, we're never going to fill with air, and you're going to be surprised that you're actually going to have more air for a longer period of time than ever before, just by not taking in too much air. Because when you take in all that air, what you have to do is tense your muscles, tense your body, tense up like this to hold that air in your body, and you might as well run up a couple of flights of stairs because it takes a lot of energy to do that. We want to save all your energy for getting the air out of your body and making a sound. So, we're going to breathe through the mouth to review. We're going to take the air low in your body, right down where? Exactly. And the way you find that is put your thumb in your navel, reach down about 2 inches. Imagine a ping pong ball here, a very small area. I don't want you to put air up here. I don't want you to put air in your shoulders, your chin, or your jaw, or your chest. Just we're going to imagine that it's going to go straight down into the lower part of your body. And this brings me to the third part. Instead of sucking it in, instead of drawing it in, I'm going to show you how to open your throat and just let the air fall in. Just like my favorite teaching tool, the lowly turkey baster. Turkey baster is a perfect example of a perfect vacuum, and that's what we're going to create today. Create a vacuum so you don't have to do the work. Let's let nature, physics, do the work. Okay, let's say this turkey baster wants a record deal. Stranger things have happened. This turkey baster wants a record deal. Okay, and I'm showing it how to sing. This is its lower abdominals, and this is the mouth and throat. How does it get the air out? What do I have to do to get the air out? Exactly, I squeeze it out. How do I get the air back in? Exactly. Now, what one other thing must also be present to make this work? It's so obvious nobody ever gets it, but it's the real problem. This must be open. If this is closed, I can release this all I want to, I can squeeze it all I want to, and the passage of air is going to stop, but most people take that as a given. However, if you are used to doing the other kind of breathing where you fill up and create a pressure up here, then you're used to controlling the flow of air through your pressure in your throat rather than someplace else, like your lower abdominals, where we're going to go. And so you have to squeeze it out from here. And this brings me to the third part. Instead of sucking the air in, instead of pulling the air in, instead of drawing the air in, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to open your throat, create a path for it, and just let it fall in. Okay? We're going to open your throat, we're going to create a path for the air, and let it fall in. Just like the turkey baster, we're going to squeeze it out when we release, and we're going to let it back in again. It's so simple. It's really, really, really hard. You know, the more simple things become, the more confusing they are to most of us. When I could give my students something that's really complex and it's got a lot of parts to it, and you got to do a lot of stuff, and it's very complicated, they love it. Oh, I can figure this out. Yeah, I know how to do this. I can handle this. Yeah, I'll just do this and I'll figure this out. But if it's like really simple, as well, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do? So we're going to try to make it really simple. Okay, so the three things we're going to be concerned with is we're going to take it lower than most of you took it when you breathe. We're going to take it through the mouth. We're going to take it lower. We're never going to fill, and you're going to be surprised because you're actually going to have a lot more air to use than you ever did before. And instead of sucking it in, instead of pulling it in, instead of drawing it in, we're going to create a vacuum and let it fall in. Now, many of you have studied with me, have spent time with me. I don't know that I see a single person in this room, though, that I would say couldn't stand to still work on the breathing. If you get the breathing part of singing right, singing is so physical. If you get the breathing part right, everything else that we will do today and everything else in your singing will be easy. If you get the breathing part wrong, everything's going to be hard. So let's really work hard to get the breathing part right. Even if you understand the concept, what we really want you to do is make it part of your life. Make it part of the way you speak, make it part of the way you relate to other people. I would like to have everybody walk out today with a new way to breathe, really locked on under their belt. Not just, oh, hey, yeah, I know what she means, but skilled in it, because we have so many other things to talk about. I can't have you thinking about breathing when you're on stage or in the studio. There's a lot more you're going to have to think about that. So, ready to start on the breathing? Okay, what I would like you to do is put your hands on your lower abdominals, and you can stay seated for this, but sit kind of up toward the front of your chairs. Keep your hands on your lower abs, and I want you to slump. Let's sit up again and slump. Good slumping. One more time. And one more time. Yeah. Sit up and slump. Good. Now, this is a great position because you can feel what's happening to your lower abdominals. And the only problem with this position is I can't see what you're doing, but you can feel it better. What we're going to do is we're going to squeeze the air out of this area down here, the ping pong ball area, right? Squeeze the ping pong ball area. We're going to squeeze the air out. And then we're going to open it up and let it back in. Okay, now squeeze it out again and let it back in. Now that you know where the general area is, I'm going to give you 3 phrases to memorize when the air goes out of your body, and 3 phrases to memorize when the air comes back into your body. Now, there are 2 parts to breathing, and a few of these sensations are going to be exaggerated, but that will really help you it will help shorten the learning curve. So we're going to do a couple of things in a little bit of an exaggerated way. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 words to memorize when air goes out of your body. Squeeze, lift, blow. You got to say that now for me.
Squeeze, lift, blow.
Good. All right. What are the words?
Squeeze, lift, blow.
Good. And?
Squeeze, lift, blow.
You're going to be really glad I made you do that in a few minutes when you're getting it really backwards. Okay, because there are two parts to breathing. There's the inhale and the exhale, and we start with the exhale on squeeze, lift, and blow. On the inhale, the three words I want you to memorize are open, drop, and slump.
Open, drop, slump.
Good. So that when you exhale, it's
Squeeze, lift, blow.
when you inhale, it's
Open, drop, slump.
now, what squeeze, lift, and blow, open, drop, and slump means to me is I squeeze the air out of my lower abdominals, which lifts my chest as I blow out through pursed lips, like this. Squeeze, lift, and blow. Try that. Good. Good. Now, just keep breathing normally, because I don't want anybody to turn blue in here. I do know CPR, though. Although I've never saved anybody, I have a certificate that says I could save your life. But I don't think we want to push this too far. Squeeze, lift, and blow. When the air comes back into your body, the words are?
Open, drop, slump.
Open, drop, and slump. Okay, what open, drop, and slump means to me, I want you to open your mouth, drop your jaw, open your throat, drop your shoulders, slump your chest, and just open your lower abdominals. Just about as relaxed. At the end of a hard day, have you ever come home and said, ah, that's where I want you to be, just that duh kind of look. So, when you exhale, it's
Squeeze, lift, blow.
inhale.
Open, drop, slump.
All right, good. Now, let's try it starting with the slump. Come down a little slumped. We're going to be in our slump position. Start with the squeeze, lift, and blow. Open, drop, and slump. And drop your jaw. Just drop it. Release it. I'll tell you why. It's a great technique when you're singing a high phrase, like a high second chorus or a high bridge or something like that. It's a great way to release tension. So if you're singing along, da-da-da-da-da, 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 you can release a lot of tension in a high section where the bulk of the tone lies really high. If you release your jaw, if you don't, you can just kind of build up and build up and build up. I had a lot of my trouble with students sometimes who say, well, don't you think I'll look really stupid if I open my jaw in between breaths? But they're usually the same students, same singers, who aren't at all concerned about singing a high note like that. They don't seem to have any concern. Am I right? You know, they'll say, but I don't want to look nerdy, dropping my jaw in between. And it doesn't quite work that way. So what we want to do is let it drop so it releases the tension. Actually, it was about a year ago, I had about 7 or 8 calls from students one night who said, turn on the VH1 Music Awards, Mariah Carey's singing, and she's really dropping her jaw way down between every breath. You know, have you ever noticed that? She does that. She'll sing all that florid, wonderful stuff, and then drop her jaw, and she's releasing it and releasing tension at the same time. I would say if it worked for Mariah Carey, it probably might work for us too. Okay, so squeeze, lift, and blow, open, drop, and slump. Let's start out with this in the slumped position. Squeeze, lift, and blow. Open, drop, and slump. Squeeze, lift, and blow. Open, drop, and slump. Let me give you another trick, by the way. If you put your dominant hand by your mouth and let that signal the flow of air. I'm right-handed, so I'm using my right hand. Your abdominals are going in as your hand is going out. And this hand indicates the flow of air in and out of your body. Good. Remember I mentioned the thing about squeezing the balloon and making that little screaming sound? That's kind of what, when you do that, it puts the tension on your sound, so you always want to breathe your air in very quietly. It's a, if you just stood on stage for an hour, 4 sets worth of it, you'd have hamburger in your throat at the end of that set. We always want to make sure that you breathe as quietly as possible in. I don't care how noisy you are on the way out. When you get that air in your body, keep it quiet. You know, the hard part is that it's so simple that it's hard. Let's pretend that this room, instead of being full of air and cameramen, is full of water. And we're all down in here and we're swimming around, okay? We don't know why we're down here, but we're swimming around down here underwater. We have no scuba gear on or anything, right? And for some reason you decide you're going to open your throat. You're down here swimming in the water, underwater, the water line is up there, and you go, what's going to happen to your lungs? Yeah. Well, what makes you think that they are not going to fill up with air just as easily when you open it surrounded by air? When you're underwater and completely surrounded by water, you know that if you open up your mouth and open up your lungs, that the water will come in, right? The same thing happens when you're in the air. And it's even thinner than water. Breathing is definitely overrated. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You know what's amazing? You can watch other people do it, and you can see how they think sometimes they're doing it the right way, and how easy it is to be deceptive. It requires a great leap of faith, because you just have to know that you don't have to do stuff. We're so accustomed to making things complicated and doing stuff. You don't have to do stuff. All you have to do is open it and the air will come in. Good. I'm going to start over here now. Your right hand is the air going in and out of your mouth, and your left hand is the squeeze on your abdominals. Okay, now when you squeeze the air out of your body, does your body get bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Exactly. Keep going. Good. Now, this is looking good to me. What do you think? Squeeze, lift, and blow. Good, and you're going to squeeze this tight. Uh-huh. That looks good to me. What do you think? Okay, good. Good work. Shayna. Try one more time. Good. And Nan. Okay, this should get smaller. Yeah. How's that feel? Good. Do one more time. That was good. Good. Excellent. Excellent. There's no reason you can't breathe like this for every day in your life. This is the kind of breathing method that, for very obvious reasons, is big in competitive sports training. If you're running a marathon and you have to take up extra energy and use extra energy to suck the air out of the room, you could be saving that for your event. You know how in the sports world every year there's some new buzzword. There's always carbopacking or electrolytes. There's always something for a couple of years that people try to get a competitive edge. But in aerobically challenging events like distance running, distance swimming, and distance cycling, this breathing is a very hot issue now. I call it passive breathing. I've seen it or heard it referred to by sports announcers as either the no breathing breathing, the upside down breathing, passive breathing, as I said, as I've called it. I've heard it called the reverse breathing. But the logic of it is that this is the way we breathe most easily. How many of you have infants or have been around infants? Get yourself an infant. And watch how that child breathes. Children will hyperventilate up into their lungs and chest when they are upset. But when they're lying, sleeping and at peace, you'll see their little tummies move down in here. But this is the way you breathe before somebody dragged you in front of the mirror, when you were about 4 years old and said, okay, shoulders back, chest up, stomach in, and put you in some sort of fear of your life if you didn't have this militaristic posture. But can't you just practice this when you come to a lesson or come to a class like this, or when you're practicing your singing? The only way this will become real and useful to you is if this becomes the way you breathe all day, every day, for everything you do. Remember I said in the beginning that some of these things were a little bit exaggerated, but would help you learn it a little bit faster? One of the two is, it's such a benefit to open, drop, and slump that the only way I can get you to open, drop, and slump is to have you lifted to start that. The squeeze, lift. When I blow the air out, I blow up. I blow and lift slightly. Stand up for us. We're going to really put her on the spot. Put your left hand on your abs and your right hand up. Hey! All right. And Tracy. Good slumping, good. She's got to stand up and do that for us.
Stick my gut out.
See, I'm glad she mentioned that. Thank you. Because we're going to talk about Tracy's gut now. No. We're going to wait till she leaves the room. What we are going to do is talk about that. I run into that all the time. And look, I am the worst offender. People think that when they are in public, they will keep their stomach sucked in. Not. It does not happen. You are no place in public for more than 15 minutes when somebody doesn't see what you exactly look like anyhow. Although, I do the same thing. I leave the house, I'm going to a party, I'm all dressed up. The last thing I do is what? I look in the mirror and suck my gut in. Like it's going to make a difference after I'm there more than 5 minutes. It's not going to make any difference. Get over it. Simply get over it. There is no way, whatever your weight condition, the condition of your abdominals, you're not fooling anybody. I know better, and I still do that the thing in the mirror that we all do when I get ready to leave the house. But it doesn't work that way. So I'm not asking you to bloat and distend yourself. I'm just asking you to let your muscles relax and just let them, the good news is that all this squeezing, lifting, blowing will tighten your abdominals, your hips, your thighs. I know it's not going to tighten up in the same way as it would with, a membership to the gym and regular attendance there, but it will contribute because you're always contracting. Instead of tensing the muscles up around your neck and throat, always be squeezing the air out here and using this part, and you're toning your body at the same time. And Diane. Good. I think we'll have to get you up and display you. Good. Good. After we make sure everybody can do this, we're going to take this down in a way that becomes like normal breathing. Looks right. What do you think? Excellent, Kate. And Gary beside you. Good. See, these guys have been watching and paying attention because they are present to win. Breathing is something we all do every day, right? And you would think it would be so simple. And you know what I think it is? I think it's one of those caveman things. You want to look bigger than the guy in the next cave, right? So he doesn't want to fight you. So you build up your chest, and you expand your chest, and then you could walk around like this, and that guy in the next cave thinks, I'm scrawnier than this guy. Maybe I better not fight him. But don't you think that has something to do with it? And what I'm asking you to do is go into an area where the diaphragm muscle drops, and there's no turkey baster in there either. I want to go on record as saying there are no lung parts down here. There is, however, this drop in the diaphragm that manifests itself down here. So it looks like you're putting air into your lower abdominals. It feels like you're putting air into your lower abdominals. And so when we talk about it, we talk about it in terms of putting air into your lower abdominals. And you can make the lift and fall is not that big a deal. It's just a way to get you to relax and let the air. You ever get neck and shoulder pain, like at the end of the day, right? You know, the end of a long week. Well, if you're filling and tightening your throat, what do we breathe? Probably every 6 seconds, which makes it 10 times a minute, 600 times an hour. If you're filling with air and tightening this and gradually releasing your death grip on your throat, what's going to happen to your throat and neck and shoulder muscles 600 times an hour? Good grief, I'd rather be tightening my abdominals, wouldn't you? Don't be surprised if you find a lot of tension is released. I had a songwriter who came and worked with me for a while, a couple of years ago, and it took her longer to get the breathing than anybody else I have ever worked with. But she got it. And she came back the next session, she said, "Renee, this breathing isn't working for me." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, it's relaxing me too much. I'm losing my edge." And Twink. Now the only thing is, she's doing that, but I have no idea how the air's getting in her mouth when it's closed like that. She could be under. Now she's also a swimmer, so she's used to keeping her mouth closed. Okay, try one more time. And drop to let the air in. What do you think, those who are closer? She's got kind of a nice little lilt here to it. It's kind of a list to the side. Have you noticed how everybody puts their own spin on this breathing? But everybody's got a spin. Everybody's got something different on it. Good, Twink. Now, let's see if we can put this breathing to work, because to be real and natural to you in the studio and on stage, you've got to make it part of your life. You can't just wait and say, "Oh, this is my normal breathing over here, and this other weird thing I do, you know, that I learned from Renee is what I do when I sing." It's your job to make this part of your life. If you get this breathing part right, everything you do with your technique will be easy. It must be the way you breathe naturally. When I first learned this breathing, I put Post-its up on every space I could find in my home. And I wanted to remember to breathe this way all the time. So I put Post-its on the telephone, on the refrigerator, on the steering wheel, on the cat, on the door. Anything that wasn't nailed down or was nailed down got a Post-it so I could remember to breathe this way. You can't change something as natural to you as breathing in just 5 minutes. Your body takes this breathing business very, very seriously. And if you've been breathing in a different way other than what we've been learning today, it's not going to accept that easily. Believe me, this will work. It's worked for hundreds of my students. It's worked for thousands and thousands of athletes. It can work for you. Thank you so much.
Creative Artist Agency. Renee asked me if I'd come down, and she's been phenomenal to my daughter, and to all my clients. I represent Faith Hill, Tim McGraw, Leanne Rimes, Shania Twain, Reba McEntire. That's just a number of the people that I represent, and I co-represent Christina Aguilera. So anyway, when they have a little problem, I say, here's a phone number, call, and get on the phone. I just want to say thank you, because I think she's phenomenal, and I think she's one of a kind.
We have 4 major resonating areas in our body. You have your chest. You resonate on the inside of your mouth where your hard palate and soft palate are. Many of you have heard about the third area of resonance, which is the mask. It's the sinus cavities in the front. And the fourth area is the brain. Now, which would you think is be the most resonant area of your body? Surprisingly, the single most resonant area of your body is your brain. Mine certainly is. And I learned this from someone I met who was finishing his doctorate at UC Santa Barbara on the physiology of sound. And when he told me the brain was the single most resonant area of the body, I said, wait a minute, isn't that just a bunch of squishy stuff? How can it be that resonant? And he said, it's like thumping a watermelon. And suddenly it made sense. Thump, thump, when you thump a watermelon. In fact, the human brain is more like a watermelon than any other substance that we commonly encounter. So if you're feeling a little fuzzy some morning, there might be a reason why. When you feel your body beyond its resting capacity, what you're doing is tightening this, and you're dampening the resonance in your chest, you're dampening the resonance in your mouth, you're dampening the resonance in your mask, and you're dampening the resonance in your brain. You might as well take a bell and ring it and then wrap a cloth around it. So to let your voice ring naturally and free, you must breathe with muscles in a way that are not constricting this part of your body. Our whole goal today is to move everything from this part of your body down to this part of your body and make it permanent. I don't think there's anybody in this room that couldn't use more work on the breath, and it's an ongoing, lifetime commitment. The goal is to make the breathing unobtrusive, to shift everything as far away from this part of your body as you possibly can, and make these muscles in the lower part of your body work for you. You are an entire body singing instrument, and the problem that I find walking into my studio more than anything is people singing from the neck up, right? Just from the neck up. I want you to be singing and speaking and breathing from the entire instrument, not just a part of the instrument. Do you hear a difference in that? When I talk to you like this, I'm using muscles from my lower body, muscles from my leg, muscles from my behind, my waist, my back, the muscles I would lift something heavy with. And they are under my sound. When I just talk to you like this, I'm just using the muscles from here, and it's constricted, it goes out of tune, and guess what? It doesn't sound committed. If you were going to buy a used car, would you buy from this person, or would you buy from this person? It could be the same car, the same day, the same price, the same color, the same extras, but I'd much rather buy from this person than buy from this person, because this sounds shallow and uncommitted. And it sounds like this person only has a small part of themselves invested in what they're trying to say. And the same thing works for music and for speaking. If you're going to speak just from this part of your body, it's shallow. But if you can use muscles from the strong part of your body, there's this sense of your entire commitment as a human being behind your words, being behind your music. But it's much more convincing to use the strong muscles of your body than just the shallow muscles from your neck and throat. And that's where we're going next. In your book, did anybody notice the unconscious incompetence? I have that in there for a reason. These are the 4 stages on the way to voice nirvana. Unconscious incompetence. People come into my studio, they're usually kind of happy as clams. They think they sound great. They're usually there for a reason, though. It's because they suspect that maybe they don't sound all that great. But they maybe don't know what to do and maybe can't sing all that great, but they're actually, kind of blissful about it. The next stage is conscious incompetence. Okay, so we get down and we learn that a few things could be fixed. We learn that there are things that you can do, things that you need to work on. It's like, oh yeah, my mother wasn't right when she said I'm as good as Faith Hill or Garth Brooks, or that I sing better than Shania Twain. Maybe she wasn't right about that after all. So that's the conscious incompetence. Then we start to learn something, and you get some technique under your belt, and you learn how to handle some of these problems and how to fix some things you've been doing, and that gives us conscious competence. You've got some tricks under your belt, but you're like this. Do you remember when you first got your driver's license? If you were like me, I was like this. You know, now I'm on my cell phone, I'm listening to the radio, I'm making a list, I'm checking it twice. That's the third stage, when you learn your technique, but it isn't part of you yet. And the fourth stage is where we are going. It's unconscious competence. It's when you know your material so well, you know what you want to do with your body so well, and you unconsciously apply it to your daily life. And that's where we're headed. So those are the four stages. Okay, next, we're going to find some muscles that will help you support the sound. Now, I'm going to go up onto the stage, come to the edge of your seat, and we're still going to do a lot of slumping. We're going to take a couple of breaths, put your hand on your lower abdominals, and we're going to do this all together. Squeeze, and this time I want you to be a little bent forward and don't lift so much. Okay, we're going to squeeze the air out. Now pop the air in. Good. Squeeze it out. Pop it in. Good. Oh, it looks excellent. Squeeze it. Now right there where you pop that air in, where that ping pong ball is, do this. Zzz. Stop a second. What's the best way to stop a sound? Let the air come back in. You're going zzz. Just take in another breath. Don't stop the sound. Think about it for a while and take another breath. If you stop the sound by taking another breath in, what's the worst thing that happens? You've got a breath that you may not happen to need at that moment, right? So it's the best way to stop a sound. Speaking or singing, 20 years ago, done. You're stopping the sound by taking in another breath. So every time we're doing the buzz, and you guys sound like a great little pack of bees here. Every time we do the buzz and we quit, let's quit by stopping and letting the air back in, okay? Always, always start out in the same position by squeezing the old dead air out of your air sac. So you're always starting with a fresh sac, and then make the buzz. So squeeze it out, let the air in. Now, zzz. Good. Just the short one. Zzz. Good. Excellent. Wow. Okay. This is frightening. So is that. What's your name, Katie? Katie, let's try it. Katie looked like she was doing it really well. Come on, stand up for us, Katie. Good. Katie, do it one more time. Good. Now do zzz. Yeah. She's a good little bee. Thank you, Katie. And Julie, see if Julie can do it and keep this totally relaxed. Good. Now, why did she tighten her jaw and her mouth? Why do you think she tightened her jaw and mouth? I'll bet she does that sometimes when she sings. She uses muscles up in here and not in the rest of her body. Okay, there's two ways to get rid of that. One way is to say, use these muscles instead, and another way is to keep this immobile. So you all know what a ventriloquist is, right? Yes? So when you're making all these noises and all these sounds, and in fact, when you're singing, I want you to be as close to a ventriloquist as you possibly can. You don't have to sing like this. This just slows down the sound. It's bulky, it's hard to pronounce, and it slows down the sound. Often when I find my students are opening their mouth and dropping their jaw, it's because they are supporting their tone a little bit like Julie was, with tension up in here. If you want to approach it from the second way, it's just don't let this move. It's a great way to practice in front of the mirror. And let's have Doc. Zzz. Good. Now I'm going to show you a magical way to increase that resonance. Sitting on the edge of your seat, I want you, we're doing a lot of slumping, your moms that hate me. We're going to slump again, and I want you just to slump suddenly. That's it. It's actually kind of funny looking. One more time. You're going to slump suddenly. You're going to drop. Good. Now, right at the place where you slumped, did your spine feel like it kind of went this way? Kind of went the other way? I mean, it didn't really, but you could feel it kind of changed. Try it one more time. Feel it like it sort of went. Can you feel that spot where it feels like it changes directions? And indeed, you can make that whole area of your body resonate just by doing this. If you let your body slump, zzz, do this. Find the Z spot in the front, zzz, but let your body drop. Zzz. Yeah. Zzz. Is there anyone who cannot feel that area vibrate? Zzz. Let it drop. Good, let me try a few individuals. And is it Kim? Zzz. Now do it on an E. E. That seemed up here. Make the sound right down here. Now, it's really important that what else does she have to do? She has to take the breath low. E. Take your breath low. I hear, wow. Did you hear a difference? When she took that lower breath. If you get the breath low and you get the breath right, everything is easy. Try it, Yancy. Felt a little bit up here. Now breathe low. Wherever you put your breath, that's where you're going to press out to support. We've got breathing, support, we've got resonance. Wherever you put your breath, that's where you're going to push the sound out from. So if you don't breathe low, it's illogical to think that you're going to support from down there in the lower part of your body. And tell me your name again. Rachel. Let's try it on an A. A. Okay, that felt kind of throaty to me, didn't it? Let's help her out. What should she start with? Low breath. Okay. A. Well, I rest my case. That was a whole different sound. And it has buzz and spin. You know what I'm talking about by buzz and spin? Bzzz, when it has that sound, guys, that's money in the bank. That's a trip to the bank. You've got to have those overtones on your sound to reach out from the truck radio. Who's bigger than Shania Twain, Faith Hill, Garth Brooks? You listen to those guys and they have incredible spin and overtone on their sound. And you don't get that by being cramped and tightened. What we're trying to do is create a situation where your whole body is a vibrating instrument, but it is gripped strongly from one lower part. Not so it's stiff the whole way. That sounds stiff. Nobody wants to listen to that. Performance has to be bigger than life. It has to be cooler than life. It has to be more resonant than life. And what you want to do always is look for the buzz. And if you think about the singers who do well, singers who sell records, the speakers who get themselves elected, they all have a certain kind of resonance in their voice. It's easy to identify, that's very compelling, and without which you will not have a career. So you're always looking for that buzz. And the way to get that buzz is to free up the instrument that resonates. And the way to do that is to put the power source into a part of your body where it cannot interfere with the resonance of the entire instrument. That's what we're doing with the breathing, putting it low so we can therefore push the air back out of your body and let your whole body become a resonating instrument. Would you take a look at the blue cards? We're going to work through them right now because they mostly deal with support and resonance. When you warm up, the first thing you need to do what? You need to establish your breathing. If somebody wakes you up in the middle of the night and says you have to sing for your life and you have 30 seconds to get ready for it, practice the breathing, because if you don't know where the breath must be, you're going to be completely disoriented. Keep your wits about you. Must be present to win. Think all the time. How do I apply this to what I do? How do I apply this to my music? How can I make these body parts coordinate with the sound? Get the breathing right. Put it into the lower part of your body. That's what you should do first. Then identify and find your support, which we're finding right now. Katie, give us a low breath and a couple of repeated A's. A. Now squish down as you do it. Give me a nice slow breath. A. Notice when she dropped lower, she got more sound. Always think of using the muscles around the strong part of your body. Just like if you wanted to lift something heavy, would you lift it like this? How would you lift it? You would lift it like this. You would get under it. If you were lifting the couch or something heavy, somebody threw something heavy into your arms, what would you do? You would put the weight of your body behind it. And that's what you have to do for a high note. That's what you have to do for a loud note. That's what you have to do for a long note. That's what you have to do when you're really putting power into your singing, is put your power behind it. This doesn't get it. And I see people reaching up, they'll sing da 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 da, and that's what it sounds. But if you go da 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 da, you're putting your power underneath your sound. And the higher you go, the more you need to dig. Don't fall into the trap. Just because the note is higher, I'm going to reach my neck higher. It's going to sound that way. You want substance. The higher notes are harder. They're bigger. You need to think of them as harder, bigger pieces of furniture to catch. So every time you sing something high, put your weight under it. And these exercises will help guide you to do that. So the second exercise is just on speaking voice. And I like you to go in this order. You don't have to go in this order, but these exercises of number 2 on the blue card are in that order specifically for a reason. Zzz gives you the most bang for the buck. It's easiest to feel and identify, right? The Z gives you the most buzz. And then I start the vowel sequence, E, A, A, O, U. I start it in that sequence because it comes from the highest tongue position to the lowest tongue position. I want you all to keep your teeth together and not open your mouth. I don't want to see any teeth. And I want you to say E, A, O, U. What did you feel with your tongue? Do it again. Did you feel the back of your tongue go down? Lifting your soft palate in the back by lifting your tongue helps keep the sound in a resonant position. It makes it easy. That's why E is a lot easier for most people. Does anybody have trouble with the letter Ah? With me, Ah is like stepping off a cliff in the dark. Way dark. I never know what's going to happen. But if you keep your wits about you and support from the lower part of your body, because it's one of those that your throat is really wide open and it's hard to control and hard to manipulate. E, on the other hand, forms a smaller opening. Okay, so that's number 2. So now the BRRR sound is brrrr. Try that. Brrrr. Drop your jaw, let the air in. Brrrr. Drop your jaw, let the air in. Brrr, and squeeze down here. Brrr. Now tuck under. Brrr. One more time. Brrr. Okay, now we're going to go. Brrr. And. Brrr. David tried. E. Give me the old Harley Davidson look, David. E. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Because that's what you want. You want to kind of tilt your pelvis forward. Put your hands, stand up. We're going to stand up in a second. My hands are like this in the front of my hips, and I'm going to tilt forward so that my hips come under my body. Now I'm going to tilt back, sort of in a duck position. Now I'm going to tilt forward. So you put your hips under your body. Now, kind of Harley down, guys. Okay. Are you all Harley owners? And sink into it. Oh, yeah. This is good. This is good. Good. Now that I've got you in this position, stay in this position. You kind of balance. Your knees are bent, but don't think of them as bent. Think of them as softened. So you have soft knees as a result of the tilt, but not that you're bent down. Okay, tilt under, Harley down, and we're going to go ee. Good. And then how do you end that sound? Tell me, somebody. And take in a breath. Again. E. Now we're going to go E. Good. Anybody not feeling this? Because y'all sure look good and you sound amazing. One more time, those 3 E's. E. Now we're going to change to the vowel A. A. Press down. Now that was a little bit up here. Could you feel it? Breathe low, breathe low. Squeeze your air out. Let your air in. E. This is going to go A, 3 A's. And. Good. And now, the hard one. Ah. Ah. Let it tilt on the. Ah. Okay. Everybody now an O. Ooh. Now on an ooh, ooh. Ooh. Then 3 oohs, ooh. You feel it down in here at the bottom. Your whole sacrum should be vibrating. Now, the last one is brrrr. While you're down here, just feel it compress. Brrrr. I know a lot of you have seen Celine Dion perform, right? It certainly hasn't bothered her career to put her support under her. Brrrr. Now continuous like this. Brrrr. Oh, very good. Have a seat, please. Yes, excellent. So, that's number 2. Now, we're going to talk about resonance. And to do that, we have to count your teeth. You have to count your teeth. These are teeth 1. These are teeth 2. These are teeth 3. And these are teeth 4. Are you counting? Y'all have your teeth counted? Kind of around teeth number 4. You want to put the sides of your tongues. Please only have one tongue in your mouth at a time when you're doing this. The size of your individual tongue. not the tip. You want to kind of try to make those teeth number 4 buzz, somewhere between 3 and 5. Zzz, by pushing up. Zzz, like make them rattle. Like, you know those microchips the government puts in your teeth to track you? You want to kind of loosen those. You feel that? It's like you want to make those 3 teeth in there, 3, 4, and 5, vibrate as if they're hollow. Now we're going to try it on an E. E. Make them vibrate. E. Good. Now there are a lot of ways to vibrate and resonate in your head. A lot of people go to raise and sing down in their chest. A lot of people sing in their mouth. A lot of people in classical music. Has anybody here studied classical music? Adam, I know you have. Okay, where do they tell you to resonate in classical music?
I keep it very forward.
In the mask, right? Resonate in the mask, in the nose, right? Is that also your experience? Which is a great place to resonate if you need to fill Carnegie Hall. If you don't need to fill Carnegie Hall, it can become a very restrictive, constricted kind of sound. Resonating in the brain is really good, but you know where I like to resonate best? In the teeth. Think about Shania Twain's singing. She may or may not be your favorite singer. She sells a lot of records, and there's something about her sound that draws people in, makes them listen, makes them come back for more. She has one of the most resonant and buzzy sounds I know. You've got to have that buzz. And the best way to get it is to vibrate dentally, because then that's where you're talking. If you vibrate in the mask, which you have to do in classical music because the sound must carry a great distance. But this is why we have microphones. We don't need to fill up Carnegie Hall anymore. What we need to do is sing with great resonance and overtones into a microphone that's barely a couple of centimeters from our lips. So we want to make the teeth buzz and vibrate. And the next time we do the Z, that's what we're going to do. Zzz. Just make every one of your teeth just vibrate as much as you possibly can. Good. Now we're going to have Adam stand up and try it. Zzz. You can sit if you like. Zzz. Feel how much buzz is there? Say yes.
Yes.
Something's working. That sounds really good. You see it in my students like Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Natalie Maines of the Dixie Chicks, the Wilkinson kids, Christina Aguilera. What she finally came to was squeezing on one side, where zzz. Doesn't matter exactly how you personalize it for yourself. The goal here is to make contractions in the center of your body that in no way constrict what's going on up here. This has got to resonate. This has got to be the power supply. What I find when most people walk into my studio is they're doing it all in the same place. And therefore, nothing's very powerful and nothing's very resonant. Let this part vibrate by tightening muscles elsewhere. Tell me your name, Brady. Yes, try it. Uh-huh. E. E. Good. Nice buzz in there. Now try it on an ah. 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 Good. Can you feel the resonance in there? That feels really good. It sounds like that whole part of his body is ringing. Try it for me.
E.
One more time. Breathe low for me first. E. You want to have your support down here, and this very gently. E. That's better. Good. We want to dislodge those microchips so you can't be tracked as easily. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're not being followed. Now, the strange thing is you can change pitches from there. Strange things you can do with your body is what we're going to learn today. If you imagine you're squeezing that area, you can actually change pitches from one note to the next. by addressing your attention to that part of your body, just to get the feeling. But it's the sense of pinch, pinch, pinch. Let me try it with Vanessa here. Try that. And she changed very well from one pitch to the other without going ee, which is what most people do. Nan Ellen, let's try it with you. Isn't it amazing? That was really excellent. There was no jaw tension. Could you feel that? Try it for me, Kim. Beautiful buzz. You hear that overtone? Do that again for me, Kim, because there's an overtone that I'm hearing that sounds really nice. Hear that overtone? That's what you're looking for. When you sing, you're always looking for that kind of overtone to your sound. Now, let's try Seth. Pick a note that's comfortable for you. See how effortlessly he's changing, no tension here? And that's what you're looking for. Every time you change notes, look for no tension whatsoever. We've worked on breathing, we've worked on support, we've worked on resonance. And these comprise the three basic physical properties of good sound. Okay, anybody want to pick one of these exercises and do them for us? Stand up so the others can see. Watch with this very closely, because this involves the whole instrument. This involves your legs, your breathing, the support, and the resonance. And watch to see, does she tense and tighten here, or does she kind of get under her sound? Try it. Good. It was very, 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 very good. Thank you so much. Because it was even, it was consistent, it had a buzz, it didn't get tight and strangled on the top, it didn't drop out on the bottom. Just in case I forget to mention it, anytime you have a low note to sing, a note that's too low for you, anytime you have a note that's too low for you, speak it, don't sing it. It's an old trick. This is just an aside. You know, everybody, no matter what their voice range, has to sing at one time or another something that's too low for them, right? Have you ever had that happen to you? It's always one note in everybody's songs that is just a little bit too low. And what most of us make the mistake of is we try to sing that low note and it ends up kind of sounding like this. But instead, if we try to sing that low note and it ends up sounding like this because we're just talking it, it's a different mindset. Speak it. Have the courage to speak it on pitch, but speak it. And it's amazing how much fuller and warmer and rounder it will be. Something that's really valuable in a group situation like this that you don't get in a private session is watching its effect on other people. And there's nothing as dramatic as seeing the effect of change. Let's summarize. We worked on the breathing. You guys are all still alive. That's an excellent sign. Must be working. Something's working. We worked on support, which is the way the body gets the air out to make a sound and support the sound. And how are we getting at it? We're going to get under the sound. And we worked on creating a really resonant space. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. You have to work at it. You have to pay attention to what your body's doing. And above all, use a mirror. Thank you so much.
We have Ray Vega, RCA recording artist and student of Renee Grant Williams. Let's give a nice, warm welcome to Ray Vega.
I've been very fortunate to been working with Renee for about 5 years now, and she stays with me everywhere I go. And I just want you to know that it's very, very important, you know, what this woman brings to our careers and to the music business. And I appreciate it very, very much. And I ask you all to continue working with her because she's amazing. And she'll call me every once in a while. She'll call me. She says, "Ray, you got to get in here. I got this new technique, new thing, you know." And it's great because I go in there. She'll teach me something, and it's funny, but it's like certain things work with me, certain things don't work with me, you know. But it's like that with everybody else. We all have different things that really stick to us. You know, but it's amazing how she continues to learn, and she passes it to us. And it's a wonderful thing. And Renee, thank you very much.
I was just thinking while I was listening over there, what a wonderful job I have. I get to make an impact on people's lives. I get to work with and meet and work with famous singers, famous personalities. I get all their autographs on checks. And I was thinking about a time several years ago when one summer when a young man came into my studio, and this guy was gorgeous. He had the hat, he had the dimple, he had the square jaw, he had the jeans, he had the stuff in the jeans right. He looked like a sing-a-star. But I could see when he came to consult with me that he was very frustrated. He'd been in Nashville for about 3 years, and much to his surprise, no one had offered him a major record deal. Now, just by looking at this guy, I was kind of surprised myself, because I would have offered him anything I had. So I asked to hear him sing. And when he sang for me, I could tell right away he had a fine voice, he had a good ear, a really pleasant tone. You know, he sang in pitch. His pitch was good, his tone was good, his phrasing was good. And as that sort of went on, and pretty soon I found myself adding milk and eggs to my grocery list, I realized he was not holding my attention. Now that's a very serious thing for a performer, because there's one thing you can't do is bore your audience. And this guy could have been arrested for loitering in front of a band. And that same summer, thanks, but it wasn't that funny. That same summer, another management company sent me another singer. And this guy was just the complete opposite of Mr. Dimple, who'd come to me early. And this guy was kind of rumpled looking, maybe, you know, looked like he'd have a weight problem kind of all his life. Really pleasant looking, somebody who looked trustworthy and honest, like the kind of guy, you know, if you had to get your car fixed in the middle of the night and this guy stopped with his cables, you would let him start your car, you'd let him fix your TV. He looked trustworthy, honest, but he didn't look like a singing star. And yet the management company that had sent him to me was a really good one. It's one of the strongest ones in Nashville. And they had a lot of faith in him, but somehow I didn't get it. So I asked him to sing. And when he sang for me, I got it. I understood why they were interested in him, and Mr. Dimple hadn't gotten anywhere with anybody. There was the missing ingredient that was missing in Mr. Dimple that this guy had. He wasn't half as cute as Mr. Dimple, but this guy had that missing ingredient that separates a fine singer from a great star. Now the first singer, I think he's somewhere back in Fresno now selling raisins or something like that, or growing raisins. But the second singer went on to become the greatest selling recording artist in the history of music of the last century. His name is Garth Brooks. and he has actually done quite well for himself. And the missing ingredient that was missing in that first singer is consonants. But you might be saying, let's see, consonants? Those things that aren't a vowel, whatever that is, what difference could they make? But I have found that consonants, more than any other factor, more than being able to sing many octaves, more than being able to sing loud, more than perfect pitch, perfect tone, whatever, consonants, more than any other factor that I have found, distinguish who makes a career in this business and who does not. In normal conversation, when you want a word or a thought or an idea to be more emphatic, more impactful, more direct, more important, we don't necessarily say that word louder. What we do instead is we create the illusion of louder by lengthening the consonant at the beginning of the word. And this is how we do it in normal speech. You say, boy, I really don't want to go. You don't say, boy, I really don't want to go, do you? I really hope not. We all do this normally and naturally. We lengthen consonants, but when we start to sing, suddenly we approach it as if it's English as a foreign language. And people sing, your cheating heart. And so your cheating heart. Sweet dreams of you. This is something that all great singers instinctively know how to do, or else you wouldn't know who they were. Because there's one element that is constant. All the singers, I'll bet you guys listen to and that you like and respect, do a lot of consonants. Consonants bring out the emotions and the lyrics of the song. With consonants, you can kind of reach in a song and pull out the gut and the hearts of the meaning. And that's what music is about. All the technique in the world will not help you if you aren't able to tap into and express the emotions of songs. Because that's where it is. A singer and a song and a public performance must be larger than life. You cannot be life-size. You must be larger than life. The great performers have somehow managed to figure this out. Patsy Cline, probably the greatest consonant singer of all in country music. Barbra Streisand, she's made a career out of singing on consonants. Frank Sinatra, start spreading the news. He doesn't sing, start spreading the news. Start spreading the news. A great performer goes right to the important consonants of the important words, and that's what makes them stand out like beacons in a song. Hank Jr., all the Hanks. Pick a Hank and they do it well. Hank Jr., Hank Sr., great consonant performers. Martina McBride, great. Garth Brooks, brilliant at consonants. And listen to the Dixie Chicks. This is a trademark. You will hear in all my singers. You have a list of my clients in the back of the book, and you'll hear a common thread where the words are not just a run-on mush of sound. They are separated. They are given space and time for the listener to digest what has been said. Tone is not as important as meaning. Everything else is slave to the emotion and the meaning, which is my feeling. So somehow the great performers have always figured out, or you wouldn't know who they were. So let's see how this works in music. You can take and lengthen consonants of different words and create different meanings. I'm going to give you a 4-word phrase, we still love you. I've deliberately chosen one with the Y and W because people don't always think of them as consonants, but they are often consonants. Vowels are what, by the way? What sounds? And sometimes Y and W, exactly. And consonants then are? Everything else, and sometimes Y and W. Okay, Y and W are included this, so you do include them in your thoughts. So our phrase is, we still love you. And I'm going to say that phrase 4 different ways, and I'm going to make it mean 4 different things to you. Imagine yourself a parent talking to a slightly rebellious teenager, and we're going to say it in different ways and see how we put a different spin on "we still love you." Okay, the first time we're going to say, "we still love you." Okay, we're your parents. We don't care what everybody else in town or your little friends think, but we're your parents, and we still love you. Or "no, you're wrong. We're your parents, and we still love you." Or "no, you're wrong. We don't hate you. We still love you. And we don't care what those other kids have to say. We're your parents, and we still love you." Can you see how there's a different spin? Same 4 words, but they actually mean 4 different things in conversation and in intent. And you can use this in your music. Take a phrase that is repeated. You don't have to say it the same way. Just because you said it the same way, said it once one way, you don't have to say it the same way every time. I'm reminded of a Lyle Lovett song, "She Makes Me Feel Good." You might know it. It's from the Joshua Judge's Ruth album. Well, after we had talked about that, he sent me a copy of this before its release. At the end, he sings, "She makes me feel good," 6 times. Every time, he sings it a different way. One, instead of "she makes me feel good, she makes me feel good, she makes me feel good, she makes me feel good." Is that boring or what? One time, "she makes me feel good," meaning she, rather than other women. "She makes me feel good." A whole different spin on it. "She makes me feel good" was another. "She makes me feel good. She makes me feel good." And every time it put a different spin on it. He took advantage of that idea and he gave us a new way to think about those words, "she makes me feel good." He didn't just say the same thing over and over again because he could. He said it a different way because he knows that people have little bitty short attention spans. And you've got to give them new ways to think about things, new ideas. You can't just say a thing over and over again because it's boring. And you cannot bore your audience. So I urge you to think of the many fabulous and wonderful ways you can use consonants in your music and in your daily speech. You should never think about music exactly the same way after this session. Should be a different listening experience for you for the rest of your lives. Let's see how this works. We're going to take the word "me." We're taught in English class that the word "me" has how many syllables? 1. Exactly, which it does. It has 1 syllable. However, in reality, the word "me" has 2 separate and sequential sounds, "m" and "e," and you don't say them at the same time. You say "me." So that makes 2 parts. Is that correct? Now let's say that word "me" is on the downbeat of one of your songs. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, me. You have 2 elements. You have an M and you have an E. Which of those 2 elements would you suppose belongs directly, punkt, directly on the downbeat, M or the E? Okay, I'm getting pretty equal. I'm hearing M, I'm hearing E. Who wants to venture a loud opinion? E. M. Okay, good. Those are both good answers. Only one is right. It's the E. Because it's "this is important to me." If it were the M, it would be "this is important to me." "This is important to me" will not work, but "this is important to me." Now the E is right on the beat. Where do we put the M? You put it before it. And you can put it a little bit before. "This is important to me," or "this is important to me," a long time before. It's such a simple rule. The longer you put it in advance, the more accent you're going to get and the more intense that word is going to be understood. If you want a little accent, you put it a little in advance. If you want a lot of accent, you put it a long time. There are a couple of instances where it works very well to put it exactly on the half beat. But in general, you can choose. There's no right or wrong answer to this. How much accent do you want? A little before, a lot before. So we've got the E on the beat, the in advance. Now, you can't keep putting just stuff into a pot without taking something out of a pot. So you can't just lengthen that M, make it longer, without taking something away. So what do we have to eliminate in order to create more space for the M? Part of the two. Okay, what's the word if I say, this is important to me? What's the word I said before me? I really said to. You heard to. Some people over here know the answer. You heard to. I didn't say to. You supplied to. I did not supply. I said, this is important to me. At best, I said to. You can't just add more. This is important to me. You can't just add stuff. You've got to eliminate. So it all. Speech has a kind of rhythm. It's like music. It has a kind of rhythm to it and a kind of cadence, and we tend to fall into that cadence. And we must follow that. When we disturb that cadence, makes people uncomfortable. But that's the very thing that grabs their attention. If I say, you might not care about, but this is important to me. While you're waiting for me to say what that is, you're saying, what you going to say, what you going to say? And it draws you in as listeners. This doesn't apply just to singing. You can use this to manipulate people in the whole rest of your life. I really want to go. Or you better stop. I mean, if I say, you better stop that right now, I don't think that's going to make much of an impression. But you better stop that. That's going to stop a rebellious child in their tracks. You better stop that right now. And it makes it colorful. Consonants pop out at you. They add color and flavor and spice. Have you ever heard some people kind of talk like this and you just kind of want to whoop them upside the head because it's real? It's just you have to kind of listen to it and it's sort of really, really boring. Have you ever heard anybody like this? I have too. Who wants to listen to that? But I get people in my studio every day who sing like that. And they just sing on the vowels. And there are no consonants, no definition, no breathing spaces, no resting spaces, no regrouping spaces. It's boring. You could have the most beautiful voice in the world and still need to have resting spaces. So, you've got the E on the beat, the M before the beat. You're going to eliminate the words like to. What kind of word is to? It's like a filler word, right? We don't need it. It's not an important money word. The money words to me are the 1, 2, or 3 words that by themselves distill the essence of what you're saying. You could put them on a telegram, we'd understand it. You could put them on, if you're on a desert beach, you could put them on, draw them in the sand, and we would get the picture. This is important to me. You don't need to, and, if, but, he, she, it, ing, things like that. It's like reading a good book. When you read a good book, you do not read from word to word at the same speed, do you? No. You go from important word to important word. If I talk to you like this, you'll understand most of what I'm saying, but I'm not actually saying all the words, right? If you could have taken miracle speed dictation, you would have taken down what I said. And you would have written all the words that I just kind of glazed on through, like the tum. You said that word in your head. I didn't even have to say it. What a great way to save your voice on stage. There is absolutely nothing about the consonants that can hurt you. Consonants are your friends. They are a singer's best friend. They are a speaker's best friend. And the other thing is, let me tell you something else. Those consonants are money in the bank. You get your consonants down. If you're exciting and compelling as a singer emotionally. You can sing out of tune, you can sing flat, you can sing sharp, you can croak, you can squeeze, you can fall down. The one thing you can't do is bore your audience. And consonants are arresting. And if you could learn that secret, it's just amazing the many areas they will help you in. Think about if you're saying, boy, I shouldn't go. Well, I was saying should, that SH. Was I using any tone? Not really. I was giving my voice a rest. If I say I shouldn't go, that was all throat. Save your voice. Give it space. Listen to, as I said, many examples. I'm just always struck by how well Natalie Maines and the Dixie Chicks do. I don't know if you're a Dixie Chicks fans. I sure am. But they put incredible space. And we used to sit in my studio, Marty and Emily on the couch, Natalie on the chair, and me on a stool, and we used to take all their songs and make drawings highlighting which words in their songs they wanted. We'd fight about it. Because there's no right or wrong, it's just what you decide. We decide to shape a song a certain way, and then they'd go off and I'd hear it on the records the next day. I do that with all my students. Ray Vega, when we recorded his album, we came back and chose at a second pass some of the important words that he could make even much more dramatic. He loves to sing with enormous passion. And I love passion in music too. That's what it's all about. It's nothing if it's not passion. All the technique in the world doesn't give you passion except this one. This technique will give you passion in your sound. How many people in here have had voice lessons in the past? When you had voice lessons, were you taught to sing on the vowels or the consonants? You had the same teachers I had. It was like you were supposed to worship at the temple of great vowels, no spitting, you know? There's always sing on the vowels, dear, present your voice on the vowels, dear, just try to get through those pesky consonants so you can get to another vowel where you can present your voice on the platter of vowels. I'm sorry, that's not the way people talk to each other. They don't talk to each other like this. Please don't tell me you do, or we'll have to change you drastically. In classical music, I was always taught that was the way to sing. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get the vowels and the consonants without singing the consonants, but get it on the beat. It was very confusing. It took rock and roll to change it. I was walking past the television set one day, way back when MTV was first launching itself. And there was the Jefferson Starship. Mickey Thomas was singing, "We built this city on the rock and the roll." And I was walking past the TV set, and I got kind of past, and it was like this lightning bolt came right out of the sky and hit me right between the eyes. And I thought, wait a minute. It's not the vowels, it's the consonants that are important. You mean all these years as a voice student I've been struggling to sing on the vowels, and it's the consonants? We built this city on the rock and the roll. It's like that Bob Seger song. You know that Bob Seger song? It's that old-time rock and roll. It's that old-time rock and roll. Now what if he'd sung it this way? It's that old-time rock and roll. It just loses its energy. We built this city on the rock and the roll. Cha-cha, pa-pa. It makes your feet want to dance. And that's what you have to put into your music, the energy that consonants infuse in it. It doesn't mean to make them loud, percussive consonants, but consonants create a kind of mind control because they draw you in. If I say, this is important to me, you wait for a second while I'm saying that M, like, what's she going to say? You know, I don't really. As soon as I stopped, you know, there were a few heads kind of bobbing around the rooms and people nodding in agreement. As soon as I stopped and gave you space, everybody came to a dead halt. Did you notice that? You could do the same thing to your audience. It's simple. Use consonants. Consonants are a singer's best friend. Put space around your most important words. Many of the words in our language are drawn from their meanings. The word slap, what does it sound like? Slap sounds like a slap. Sting sounds like a sting. The word cling sounds like someone hanging on to you. The word round is kind of a round sound. Put your arms around me, honey. Hold me tight. Cling. Those words use a device called onomatopoeia, which is a Greek word for a sound derived from the meaning of the word. And now, when you say slap, sting, round, cling, what you're doing, if you emphasize the colors of those words, you're starting to work not on the conscious level of your listener, you're starting to burrow down beneath the surface and work on their subconscious. And when you say the word mist, it's kind of a misty word. Slap, it's kind of a slap. And you're working on a non-verbal level with people in addition to everything else. And you're really capturing these people. It's sort of digging down into the layers deeper and deeper of how your performance can be compelling, how you can seduce the ear. What we want to do around many words is create a kind of silence. And consonants create a kind of silence. They create a space for you to let things sink in. If I say something that you're expecting to hear in a song, maybe, oh baby, baby, I might not have to let that sink in too much. But if I use the word cyberspace fish in the first line of a country song, you're going to want to have some space to think about, now, wait a minute, hold on here, what did she say? It is important that cyberspace fish, you're not expecting that. People tend to listen on a kind of autopilot. We tend to listen and be lulled into expecting what we want to hear. So when you throw us a curve, you got to give us some time to digest that. So if you're singing anything where the lyrics are surprising, unexpected, put so much space between your words. Give them time to sink in. Give them time to prepare for an unexpected word, and then give that word time to resonate. If I had said, now, Elton John is a great example of pretty long, exaggerated consonants, would you have said, gee, I noticed that? You wouldn't. But what do you think of him? You think of him as a great artist who communicates and who talks to us. He's working on us on a deeper level. He draws us in. He seduces us with his silence and with his space. You don't have to oversing. Oversinging is usually the worst thing people can do. Give us less, and you know what? We'll want more. Isn't that the way things always are? It's just like the rest of life, like not kissing on the first date. If you make people wait for stuff, they appreciate it more, they value it more. If you just give people stuff, who cares? There's no value. Make people wait. It's the same in your music. Hold back. Draw them in with consonants. And they will appreciate it. Now, I'd like to go through your word list, your consonant list, and talk about the different kinds of consonants that exist. And I always call this the Huey Lewis consonant list, because I never had it down on paper before, and I was having a session with Huey Lewis, who loved this stuff, by the way. He's a very enthusiastic man about, when he likes something, that guy likes something. He was hopping all over my studio. And we talked about this, and he came back the next day and had it written down on 3 cocktail napkins and said, is this what you mean? And I always wonder why we get our best ideas on cocktail napkins anyhow. Maybe we should have some cocktail napkin Post-its or something. I took the 3 cocktail napkins and I said, hey, Huey, let me take these and kind of organize them a little bit and give them back to you in a form. So I want to talk about the different kinds of consonants. Phoneticists, who are the people who deal with the phonic sounds in our language have about 25 different kinds of consonants. I've got it down to about 5. It's enough for our purposes, although sometimes you kind of have to take a little shoehorn and fit them in the different categories. The first, the easiest, and these are my titles, are the voiced consonants. They're just like a vowel. They have tone, they have pitch, they have length. It's z, You can sing them long, you can sing them short, you can sing them up. And I really don't want to go. I never thought it would end like this. You know, I'm very disappointed. Slap them ahead of the vowel, lengthen them, and go. The next category is unvoiced consonants. There are SH and CH and S and T in some certain situations. I should not go. I have to go. You don't understand. I have to go. You would never say, you don't understand, I have to go. But people come in and sing that way for me every day. How could you be thinking about what you're saying? Always think about what you're saying. So you just lengthen the consonant, slap it at the front of the word, and make it longer. The next category is what I call the stopped consonants, and these are a little tricky. Now, everything we're talking about today is predicated on lengthening the consonant in front of the word. Am I correct? Well, how do you lengthen a D? Or a G? Or a B? Or a certain kind of T? How do you say, I don't want to go? The premise is the same, though. You have to lengthen something in front of it to accent it, so you lengthen a silence. If I say, my dog has just chewed up my couch, my new suitcase, and a couple of new pairs of shoes, I'm going to be really mad at that dog, and I'm going to say, that darn dog. Now, if I'm really mad, I'm saying, that darn dog did it again. Now, the way I do that is I stop the previous word short. Eliminate the previous word. If I say, it's important to do, we still shorten the previous word. Understand me on this. We still shorten the previous word. But in this case, you put your tongue up to the ridges behind your teeth and hold it there as long as you can. That darn dog. The longer you hold it, the badder the dog was. That bad cat. Try that darn dog. That darn dog. Now make him really bad. Those are Gucci slippers. That darn dog. Darn dog. Oh, he's not half bad enough. Tell me. Darn dog. Now, how about that bad cat? We can't leave him out. Bad. Bad cat. Short. That bad cat. Bad cat. Good. Now say, I didn't go. 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 Now we're going to change it. Say, I didn't go. I didn't go. More space. I didn't go. See, you can manipulate anything. You can make this stuff mean anything. I want to tell you about the last two categories. The vowels, a word that starts with a vowel, is treated the same way, one with the stopped consonant. If I'm saying, give me all your love, give me all your love, I do the same thing. I shorten the previous word, I lengthen the space, and then I do a little glottal stop. A little glottal stop is It's just a little pressure together on the vocal cords. Give me all your love. I don't care anymore. I don't care about it. Let's try that. Give me all your love. Give me all your love. No, I want more love. Give me all your love. Still more. Give me all your love. Give me all your love. The longer you make the space and make his weight, the more impressive it'll be. Give me all your love. Give me all your love. And the last category are the sometimes Y and W categories. Y almost always has an E sound. Yes, young, yours, you, yet, yesterday. So you put an E in front of your lead word, and W is always has what kind of sound? What, when, where, why, except for the words whole and a few other words. They're almost always way, wish, went. Now, so those are the main categories of words. And the most important thing is it's got to sound natural. You need to experiment with this. You need to listen to other singers and hear how they're doing it. It's not that the consonants should be louder. Long, slow, soft, seductive consonants are much better than loud consonants. They don't have to be louder, but longer and more seductive works better. It seduces the ear, it draws your listener in, and makes them listen. There's one more example that I'd like to give you. If you have, in a line, a leap from a low note to a high note. Have you ever had any trouble with certain lines like that? Or inversely, from a high note to a low note. If you have a leap, that's one of the toughest places to deal with in music. There's a trick that you can do. I'm going to give you an example. Now, we're going to go back to our favorite, to me. We're going to have, in our example, the word to on a low note and the word me on a high note. Now, some of you have already been taught this by me. Save your answers. We've got to on a low note and me on a high note. The consonant for me is what kind of consonant? So it's got to be sung on a certain pitch. Now, which pitch is that word me, the M of me, sung on, the lower pitch or the higher pitch? To is on a low note, me is on a high note, and we've got the M has got to be sung on either the lower pitch or the higher pitch. Because the vowel must be on the beat, which means the M must be in the pitch space, if you think about it, of the previous word. So it falls in the tone space. This is absolutely crucial for your singing. If we're going to do to me, and this is a good place to put your sound, the M, on exactly the half beat. To me, to me. Try that. Let's get a pitch that works for everybody. To me. Try it, and. To me. One. To. That's pretty low, isn't it? To. If you can't get it, change octaves for me. And here we're going to try, listen again. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. To. Let me do one first. To me, to me, to me, to me, to me. Good. Now, try it the wrong way. To where you put the M up on top. Ready, go. To me. Okay. I don't even think I have to comment on that. Wasn't that incredible? The difference, to me and to me. Now, that works inversely. Go straight. So let's take the go straight. Try that. Go straight. So it's go straight and go straight. Put the R up there and go straight. Now try it the wrong. Go straight. Go straight. Yes. See what we're doing here? It's the best way I know. Prepare your high notes. And if you're making a leap from a low note to a high note, the best way to do it is to take the weight off. Never sacrifice a good high note in order to sing, conscientiously sing the notes before it. Anytime you have a note that's important, that's high, that's big, that's a money note, you know what the money notes are. They're the ones that everybody's listening to see if you'll make. Nobody cares about two, nobody cares about the low notes, unless you're in the Oak Ridge Boys or something like that, and you're a deep-voiced singer. People are listening for the high notes. So you always want to save your voice by backing off the low notes and to me. Then the high note will sound bigger anyhow because you've sung a softer low note. So I want to tell you how much I've enjoyed working with you today. I hope you've learned something new. I hope you've reinforced something old. And I hope you go forth and spread your consonants around. Thank you so much.